Greetings and welcome to the Wild Swans at Coole. Today's video is on Emily Dickinson's poem The Soul Selects Her Own Society. Emily Dickinson's most of the poems, the subject matter of Emily Dickinson's poem is basically women oriented, and it on the surface may look like a poem of women empowerment, but in deep level of understanding it is meant one's own identity or one's own self. Generally, the poems of Emily Dickinson do not have any title, so the first line is considered as a title. As for this poem, you can see the first line of this poem is The Soul Selects Her Own Society, and we can count this as the title of this poem. So the poem goes like The soul chooses her own society. The choice is done by the soul and not a soul, so it gives the impression of the importance of the soul by through the adjective the. The soul is not any other soul but a soul of an individual. It may be any man or any woman, so the soul chooses others. The others do not choose the soul, so the dominance of the soul is portraying through this line that soul chooses others, its society, in which society she will live in, because according to the line of the poem, it is her soul. So she is taking control of her own. It is her choice. It is the soul's choice to be with whom she will stay or not. The soul selects her own society, then shuts the door to her divine majority present no more. Then, after selecting her society, the soul or she closes the door. It shuts the door. It doesn't want to interact with others. It shuts the door to the front of divine majority, to the whole world from the millions of people. She detaches herself. The soul detaches itself, that there is no need of presence of others. That means the soul is self-sufficient. The soul is an exalted self. It knows with whom to meet and with whom to not. So the soul or heart does not give any chance others to meet with itself or herself. Now next go to the next stanza, second stanza. Unmoved. She notes the chariots pausing at her low gate unmoved, an emperor be kneeling upon her mat. A chariot comes in front of her door. She notes it or she notices it, but she sees it is pausing in front of her gate, but she remains nonchalant. The soul remains completely unmoved. The coming and going of the people does not affect it anymore, as if the chariot is showing respect. It stops in front of the low gate. The soul is still unmoved. It is not in a hurry. It is still out of excitement. Then an emperor comes out of the chariot and kneels down upon her mat. He surrenders himself in front of her as if all the ego, pride itself surrender itself to a calm, unchangeable mind which makes itself removed from all the emotions many years ago, that nothing affects it anymore. So, emperor and chariot, these are used as a metaphor to represent something bigger. Chariot may be the representation of those human emotions that carries away pride, anger, selfishness, and restrain us to reach to our own true selves. So it kneels down to this heart that keeps a vow that it will never give permission to those emotions to get into herself. So on the surface, it may appear that a woman secluded herself from the world, and the biographical reference of Emily Dickinson gives proofs of it. If you know the biography of Emily Dickinson, you will understand that she has isolated herself for many years, and she usually lives in a white wears a white dress, if I am not wrong. That you can find it in Google or Wikipedia. The chariot and emperor can be a metaphor of rich and successful people who tried to communicate with Emily Dickinson when she secluded herself for 4 years from the rest of the world. Now let's move on to the last stanza. I have known her from an apple nation. Choose one, then close the valves of her attention like stone. In the last stanza, the poet says, I have known her. She is known to her, means the soul is familiar to her, or it may be the soul knows itself very much, or it may be one or two close friends of her whom she knows more than the whole ample nation, means more than the whole world. As human beings are social animal, so we need to communicate with others so many times, but not all communications are soul to soul, heart to heart, but the soul wants soul to soul communication, a communication that connects it with other heart, or in a highest level of allegory, the soul knows its worth because it was in search of it. So the line goes, I have known her. So now, when the soul finds itself, or an individual gets the knowledge of what lies inside of him, he closes himself from others and separates himself from the outer world and finds peace or a sense of satisfaction in it. Or maybe the soul chooses one among the millions of people it meets every day it meets. And closes its doors. As we meet new people every day, but not all the conversation will be from soul to soul, and even in practical life it cannot be possible to have a soul to soul conversation because life has difficulties, some outer world problems that needs a practical solution. But still, when the soul finds one, it refuses to talk or make soul to soul connection with others, as if the speaker of the poem finds her one and now she refuses to meet others, even though it has materialism pleasure. But the speaker chooses metaphysical over physical, it chooses spiritual over material. And in allegorical sense, this one is none other than the speaker's own self. She finds herself now, and from the biographical reference during Emily Dickinson's seclusion life, she was actually happy. She at that time writes many kinds of poetry, and it was a fruitful era of producing poetry. So she intentionally closes the door of letting impurposeful conversation as she finds a meaningful answer within herself. So the pupil who tries to come in touch with her or with the soul, she closes the door like a stone that is placed in the face of a pipe or channel, through which things or water can come and go, but when the stone is placed, nothing can neither come nor go. And in one side of it, only if somebody removes the stone, then it can come and go. Like the way blood circulated in heart, there are some valves in a heart through which blood comes, and it prevents purified blood to pass and removes the impurified blood. Similarly, the stone is in the control of her. It is she who will decide whom to let come in and whom to not. In a negative sense, it may look choosy or gives a negative impact to others, but if we discuss it positive light, it purifies us, ourselves, our souls. In the mid 1860s, Dickinson begins to voluntarily withdraw herself from social life, preferring to speak with visitors through a door rather than face to face. This time in her life led to her most productive writing period. She stayed social by regularly corresponding numerous letters to favored friends. There were some important person who wants to meet Emily Dickinson in their personal lives, but Emily chooses only one or two. So, reading this poem in conjunction of her biography, this poem is true to the confessional nature of the contemporary life of Dickinson. She chose the secluded life and had written innumerable poems. So this poem tells us the human's heart to heart and soul to soul connection with each other in an allegorical sense. According to this poem, soul does not interact with anyone among the ample nation, but it opens up only with one or two. The soul loves itself more than other outside things. thinks it knows everything can come and go, but it is a heart or soul that stays the same. So it believes everything is within ourselves. The sparkle is within ourselves. We don't need to search for it in the outer world. It lies in us. All we have to do is to introspect ourselves, and introspection can start from the outer world and then end in inner world, or from inner world to inner world. So outer world experience is necessary to find the true inner world. Some school of thoughts rejects it, that proper knowledge is lies within ourselves. They say it can also be gained through outer experience. By facing real life problems, one can gain experience, and this experience will transform into knowledge. So we can say that the both are true. So Emily Dickinson was not very much of a religious person, or there are not many proofs of her religious practices, but she has a spiritual perspective of life which shines throughout this poem. So if you have liked this video, please like, share and subscribe.